back to the Childhood Cancer Perspective. Today you're going to get me. I am continuously working on trying to get more and more guests on the show to come and share their stories, to share their insight into the pediatric cancer world from both moms, dads, organization owners, foundation owners, doctors, nurses, child life specialists, and the list goes on and on. So before I say anything else, if you are interested in being on the show and you'd like to come and share your story from a very, what I like to call, anti-social media aspect, where you're not going to get censored and banned and you're going to be able to say what you want, reach out to me at ccperspectivepod@gmail.com, and we will have a conversation and we will get you on the show. This week, I am going to talk about two things, and those two things are going to be something that have been weighing heavy on my mind for quite a while. I thought about doing another reflection show, but I think this is really more important, and if you follow me on social media outside of here on Instagram or TikTok, Facebook, anything like that, you will see that the latest thing that I have been putting out is a series called If I Ran for Office. And I don't know what the future holds, and nobody really knows what the future holds. And if anybody or any people within the world, this community can understand that truly, is that we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know what the aspirations for the next person are going to be. And the one thing that has become extremely apparent, and I think it's been apparent for a while, but something that once you've lived through this, from diagnosis to the treatments and back and forth to the hospitals and tests and stem cell transplants and long hospital stays, trying to navigate the medical system, trying to navigate support, financial help, and all that comes with it. The one thing that is severely lacking outside of our normal funding and research is real people that are representing us, so real representation within the pediatric cancer community, real representation in Congress, whether it's local or whether it's federal. We just don't have it. You have champions of bills, and those are great. You have people that will champion bills, that will have people in their office, on their podcast, on their social media that will be in there, and all. And that's phenomenal. And I don't want that to ever stop. I want you to be able to touch the hearts of the senators, congressmen and women that are there now serving. I want you to continue to work to touch their hearts and get them to include you in their day-to-day life, because the reality of it, and I say this all the time, is that our children, whether they can vote or not, are our only future. They are the only future that we have, good or bad. They're the only one we have. And if we continue to let them die, if we continue to let them suffer, if we continue to leave them in the dust with, well, you're getting enough, or it's somebody else's fault, we will never get anywhere, and we will never have a future to live. And parents now will have nobody to take care of them in their old age. We will have nobody to rely on, nobody to pass along our legacies to, if we can't save our children from this damn disease. And not having that real representation is very difficult, because we don't have somebody that comes in to Congress, well, like I said, whether it's federal, whether it's local, whether it's your state assembly, any of that, we don't have somebody that comes in with real lived experience. And if I ever, again, this is a series that I put out on Instagram, I put it out on TikTok, on Facebook, you can follow all of it. Feel free to comment, share your ideas and your thoughts, criticize if you want to. That's okay, that's how we learn. But if I ran for office, my campaign would not start with politics, nor would it ever involve party line politics. My campaign starts with people. My campaign starts with listening. My campaign starts with understanding. My campaign starts with lived experience. Now, I am a firm believer, and you can go to college, you can get a higher education, and you can truly learn something, and you can truly be prepared for the real world. They can prepare you. Now, I think the best professors, on a side note, the best professors that I ever had in college were professors that were literally working the jobs that they were teaching you, not professors that went to school to be teachers. Nothing against them, but the ones that I felt like I had the best gain of knowledge from, and the ones that I learned the most and felt the most impact from, were those that were literally living in that job, living that job every single day. You know, my criminal justice class, I had a sheriff that was the professor. He was the sheriff of the county, and he was the professor. That is real inside lived experience knowledge that you're going to learn, that's going to be outside of what's in a printed textbook. And that very much lines up with the way that I would run a campaign and the way that I would be a politician in my state and federally if it came to that. My lived experience, and I think lived experience in the real world, should account for a lot more than what it does. Because when you go through something personally, you learn quickly. If you want to call it street smarts, that's fine, but you learn quickly how to adapt. And you are always continuously learning how to adapt. And you're taking everything that you're learning, everything that you're seeing, hearing, smelling, everything, and you are building a knowledge bank that you can then pass along to other people, that you can pass along to the next generation. And unfortunately, in our world, the next generation are pediatric cancer parents that are going to find out that their child has been diagnosed with cancer. 47 children every single day are going to hear those words. They are going to feel a sense of, what do I do? A sense of loss. Right away, a sense of loss, a sense of fear, a sense of unknowing, a sense of alone. You're going to feel all of that. We felt that. We felt that hard. We knew nobody. I had one friend that I went to high school with who their son had a brain tumor growing. Now, he's doing great now. And that's the only person that even came close to understanding how we felt. And that was it. Otherwise, we were on an island. Being able to take knowledge that you've gained from an experience. Now, I'm not saying that we know everything. I'm not saying that I know everything. What I'm saying is that you can take that experience and you can pass it along to somebody else. As a politician, what that allows me to do is take the knowledge that I've learned, the knowledge that I've gained, the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, the insurance, the medical forms, the navigating all of that is not built for real life. The system itself is not built for real life. It's not. And that's part of the issue, okay? That's part of the problem. The medical system, the insurance system, the support system, the financial, when it comes to housing, travel, all of that, it is not built for real life. It's built with limits. When you're going through a diagnosis like this, there are no limits. You have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring. You have no idea what tomorrow is going to throw at you. It could be an overnight, middle of the night trip to the hospital. It could be an all-day stay for fluids. It could be an absolute upside-down flip change in your treatment schedule that puts you in the hospital unknowingly for 2 weeks. It could be everything's perfect. No issues, no problems, everything's running smooth, and then it's not. The system is not built for real life. We need people that are in positions of power. And when I say positions of power, I mean elected officials that have the ability to not only write, to not only vote on, but to enact, but also to be involved in and put their name on and get close to bills, legislation, and rules, law, whatever you want to call them. We need people that truly understand what this fight is like. We need people like that, and we don't currently have it. Now, I've had these conversations with a lot of people, and the reality of it is, let's think about this. Adult cancers and pediatric cancers are different. They're different. Cancer, you can have people that will tell you that cancer is cancer, and I get it, and I'm with you in the fact that cancer is cancer. But the way that it affects children, the way that it affects adults, the way that children are able to relay how they're feeling versus the way that adults are able to do that, and a million different other aspects, it is very different. It is very different. And I think that most of the world has cancer somewhere within their family or somebody close that they can relate to where they can say, I understand. And this is not meant to be rude. This is not meant to be derogatory. This is not meant to stifle your support in any way. But if you don't have currently a child going through this and you're not personally connected in that sense, then you truly don't understand how we feel. And that's not a bad thing, okay? I want to preface that by saying that's not a bad thing. We don't want you to understand what it's like to feel like this, to watch your child fight and have absolutely no way to fix it. As a parent, we're supposed to be able to fix things. We're supposed to be able to protect our kids. And when you can't do that, it breaks you in ways that I can't even explain. We need people that are behind those closed doors, that are sitting in those Senate pulpits, that are sitting behind a giant oak desk with a pen and a pad and the ability to write bills and write laws. We need people back there, unfortunately, that have been through this. We need people that have lived this every day. We need people that have gotten up and haven't slept for 48 hours, for 72 hours. We need people that have worked through midnight feedings, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock feedings, getting up to go to the bathroom, helping your child do everything that they were able to do a year ago, now you're doing for them. We need people to understand what it means to sign a DNR for your 8-year-old daughter. We need people that understand what it's like to be able to recite chemo drugs and amounts that need to be given, drugs that can't go together. People that understand this without an MD behind their name. We need people like that. This is why I have started the If I Would Run for Office campaign, because if I ever did, I can promise you that it would not be a one platform thing. Yes, would I be fighting for pediatric cancer? Would I be fighting to get more funding in the state of Wisconsin? Would I be fighting to get more funding federally? I would be fighting to get better research. I would be fighting to get better facilities. I would be fighting to get more and more collaboration and connection between doctors and oncologists across the country and across the globe to ensure that when kids get diagnosed, and they ultimately will, that they have the absolute best chance no matter where they are. I would be fighting for that. But I would also be fighting to create a system in place that actually focuses on the family, that focuses on getting them the financial support that they need, that helps to get their job support that they need, that helps get the food support, the travel support, the actual mental and emotional support that they need when they're going through something like this. I would fight for that. I would fight against a system that is unequivocally broken. I would fight against a system that is not built for real life. I would fight to change that, to fix that, to understand what it's like. And when you come at me and say, how do you know it's broken? I will give you every single reason that I know that it's broken. And I will have hundreds of people standing behind me that will give me the same exact story, will back that up. How many parents whose children are diagnosed with this lose their jobs? How many parents lose a steady form of income because they're traveling back and forth to the hospital, because they are taking time off because their child is sick, because they were going to doctor's appointments, because they just don't want to be away from them? How many of them are taking time away to the point where you lose your job? How many people don't understand how FMLA works? How many people are not given the options and the opportunities to be able to apply for these programs, or are not given the correct opportunities through hospital systems or through the medical system? How many kids are now missing school? Brothers and sisters, also siblings, that are missing out on opportunities or missing out on going to school because they're also traveling, or because the entire family has to pick up and move. I'm not saying that parents are not capable of fixing this or figuring it out, because they are. We've been there. And there are plenty of parents out there that have figured it out. They have figured out how to make it work. They've figured out how to subsidize their income, to find a way to stretch a dollar, to find a way to make sure that education is not left on the table for their children and for the children battling and their other siblings as well. They found a way to ensure that travel does not break them. But understand that that means that every single second spent trying to figure it out is taken away from the care of their child. It's taken away. And that's not to their fault. It's not to the fault of the parents. It's not to the fault of the siblings. It's not to the fault of the family. That's a fault of a faulty system. A faulty system that does not give them the support that they need. So if I ran for office, my goal would be to ensure that these families get the support they need from day one. Now, we have incredible social workers in the hospital system. We have an incredible one. I won't mention her name. Maybe one day I'll have her on the podcast. But we have an incredible social worker that I can always reach out to and get information, or I can get direction or guidance or things like that, even to this day. And I think they do incredible work. But I think that they're not missing. I think the tools that they have, I think, might be missing. I think that they deserve more. I think they deserve more pay. I think child life specialists are the same way. I'm just going to put that in there. But I think they deserve more. I think they deserve a bigger toolbox, maybe a toolbox with more advanced tools in it that can ensure that a family gets everything that they need right up front, no matter their geographic location, no matter their income level, no matter the below or above the poverty line, no matter any of it. It doesn't matter. When you're a family going through childhood cancer, we're all the same. We are all the same, and none of that crap matters. None of it matters. What matters is getting the support that you need from the beginning and getting that support that will then continue no matter what, whether it is into survivorship or whether it is the unfortunate loss of your child. You still need support. You still need a system that stands by you. You still need a system that gives you what you need to ensure that life after the loss doesn't mean loss and loss and loss. And I think you guys can kind of figure out what I'm talking about. This system that does not support us from day one, it doesn't give us what we need, it doesn't give us all the avenues that we need to be able to do things that we need to do without our own research, is a very dangerous mental game. And the reason I say that is because there is a mental aspect of this that doesn't get talked about enough. We talk about the child going through it, and we should. They should get every single bit of attention. They should get the care. But parents, and I can say this personally, we do not take care of ourselves. 100% we don't take care of ourselves. We don't give ourselves the time of day to be able to rest, to focus on our own mental health, to focus on anything, because we're so focused on our kids. And we should be. But it should not come at the detriment of our own health, because if our mental health declines and our physical health declines because we're not focusing on ourselves, we're not any good to anybody. And we're not going to be a good caregiver. We're not going to have the ability to be able to give them what they need because we've let ourselves decline. That's another thing that this system is not good at doing. The system is not good at ensuring that our mental health is okay, ensuring that our mental health is in the position that it needs to be in order to continue. And I mean continuing into survivorship or continuing into the grief of your child gaining their wings. Now, survivorship is a very tricky thing. And why do we need support when it goes into survivorship? And I'll tell you why. And this is another part where the system breaks down, because much like the support that comes in and goes out, support comes in for families when you're going through this, but support very quickly will go away when your child either rings the bell or your child passes away, because people don't think that you need the support anymore on either side of that. I truly believe that no matter what, whether you ring the bell or whether you are saying goodbye to your child, you need the support then more than ever. Because now, if your child survives this, if your child gets through it, the 5 years, 10 years, whatever, you're on the edge of your seat every single time something comes up, a bruise, a headache, a bloody nose, okay? You're coming up on scan day. Scanxiety is a real thing. PTSD is serious. It is serious within this community, and we need to be able to provide that mental health support that continues, both into survivorship and both into the years after when you're grieving your child, because there is no time limit on grief, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. But not giving the support that they need, you understand that the system we have now, and when I talk about the system, this system that we have now for support is a system of organizations, families, nonprofits, things like that that are carrying the weight of this, which is good if you've put yourself in that position. But we can only do so much. And professional mental health specialists out there and caregivers in that sense, they need to be made available, and they need to be made available long term for a situation no matter what, because your mental health is going to be affected the day that you hear those words, your child has cancer. Your mental health declines immediately. And we need to have something in place that ensures that the parents focus on themselves and get the support that they need, or at least have it available to them. So we've talked about the support of mental health, job stability. That is going to be something difficult. However, we need to ensure that job loss is something that is very minimal, something that we can come up with that allows employers to keep employees on the payroll even when they're in long-term care with their child, or they're just not able to be there, or they're traveling, they're out of state, they're out wherever when they're going to get treatments. We need to ensure that their jobs are going to be safe and that their jobs are going to be there in a position when they get back, and it's not going to hurt the company. I know a lot of companies, they get to a point where they have to let you go, and it's just business. And it's got to do with a lot of different rules and regulations, insurance, a lot of different things. We've got to find a way to eliminate that red tape. Because when JC was first diagnosed, the first thing that I did after we got home from our 2-week stay in the hospital is I went to my boss and I said, I'm going to be here as much as I can. And I'm going to be off as much as I need to be in order to be with her. I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know what the days are going to be, because at that point we didn't have a chemo schedule. But when we did, I took the days that I needed to take, radiation, I took the days, and it was never an issue. It was never an issue. But it was, it was a federal job. I had FMLA, which again, people need to understand the way that your FMLA works. You need to extend short-term disability, time off. There's a lot of different rules and regulations, and your state may vary on how those are applied, but you need to be made aware of how those work instantaneously. As soon as a diagnosis like this comes by, you need to be made aware of this is what you need to do for your job. This is who you need to talk to. This is what you need, whatever. We need regulations in place that are going to help keep people employed, even if they're off for long term. Because when you get to a point that you just can't be there, but you need to be able to have something to go back to support your family, and that's a hard decision. It is a very hard decision to go back to work when your child is in the hospital or home sick, and maybe you don't have that home support, whatever your situation is. It's a very hard decision, but you need to be able to have that decision. You need to have that choice not taken away from you because of something that's some archaic law that's in place that just doesn't allow you to care for your child without the worry of being unemployed. So we've covered that. Financial stability. Now, financial stability, amongst things within my campaign would be, we need financial support systems that are set up. Now, right now, those support systems are set up much like the mental health and things like that. Those are set up through organizations. Organizations within your state or even within the country, depending on, how they're set up as nonprofits, that those are set up to help you with. I know we have some here in Wisconsin that will send you gas cards. They will send you grocery cards. We also have several that will bring meals to your house. You'll basically get on a list. I know we were on one and we would get meals. Like once every couple of weeks, we would get a bunch of frozen meals that we could utilize when we were home. And we had one organization that would send us grocery cards and gas cards because that was something that was huge. We're traveling back and forth for us 2 hours to go to the hospital and for appointments and things like that, or even going to our closer hospital, which is still half an hour away. So those things definitely help. But they're helping with those core items, the core groceries, gas, and some travel here and there. They're helping with those. But now we have to start getting into, let's say, hotel stays or just basic income. If you're losing your income, you still have bills. Like, honestly, your bills don't stop and don't take a break just because of what you're going through. As a matter of fact, they may actually get worse, but they're not going to stop. Your mortgage company doesn't care. Your car loan, they don't care if you've got something going on. And there might be, if you set up a special thing within your loans where, if something comes on like this, like a sickness or you're out of work, where you can take a break from paying for a couple of months, but that's not permanent. Something set aside where your family could apply for or could be, granted a certain amount of money, every month or whatever to help you pay bills, simply just to help you pay bills. Or maybe it's connected to your bills, connected to, let's just go with Wisconsin, connected to We Energies, which is our gas company, energy company, electric, connected to your cable company, which is like Spectrum or AT&T or whatever, connected to those companies. So organizations that work directly with those companies that you would then submit your bill to them, and then they would pay those bills so that you wouldn't have to worry them. There are organizations that will do that, and there are things that are set up, but I would like to see something very, very solid, very, very of a centralized place that handles this, that, yes, nonprofits could buy into. In a sense, they could put money into this that would help pay for it. They could put money into things, or they could just be the ones that are directing this and helping out. But then this would be something that would be maybe even state funded, something, money set aside where it could help families going through something serious like this and allowing them to really focus. And knowing that something like this is available is almost as important as having it available to you right away. Knowing that if you go through something like this, listen, I know that my state just signed a bill that says that if I'm out of work for X amount of days or going to be predictably because of XYZ, that I could apply for this assistance that would help. Now, yes, there are state funds, there are SNAP benefits, there are low energy or low income, there's energy benefits. There are all these different things that are set aside, but what I would like to see is a very centralized system that's specific to this cause, specific to medical emergencies. I mean, obviously specific to pediatric cancer, but I want it to be specific across the board. I want it to allow people that are in a medical emergency like this, or they're going to be taking time off of work in order to care for a loved one in any sense, that they can have this ability to really help them if they don't have the ability to go to work or to bring in that income. This can be broken down in many different ways, but in a sense, if I ran for office, it's income assistance in so many different ways that's very centralized outside of the already set aside state funded things such as like SNAP, low income energy assistance, all of those types of things. This would be specific. This would be very, very specific to, medical emergencies that have come up that were unplanned, something like that can help. And like I said, we can expand on it. I know there'll be critics telling me that there's already things out there. There's already nonprofits that do this, and there are. But I think we need to start taking some of the weight off the shoulders of nonprofits that are doing this and allow them to focus on other types of assistance versus just raising money to give it. We have to talk about it more, okay? We have to kind of break it down a little bit more. And again, if you want to criticize it, please do, because the only way that we're going to learn or we're going to make things better is by, positive criticism. The other thing that I want that we talked about then was your jobs, making sure that we can assure that your jobs. Now, we can't obviously guarantee that a job will never go away. We can't guarantee that an employer won't be able to do it because it's going to depend on a lot of different factors, but we got to be able to give a little bit more security in that, knowing that if I have to take a few weeks off or a few months off because of this, that I'm not going to just automatically lose my job. I might lose my place in line, or I might lose my place in seniority, things of that nature, which I did in my job. When I took time off, I lost seniority because I was off for so long, and I was okay with it. It's a hell of a trade-off for being able to be with your kid when they're going through something. But having that ability was really important to me. And the mental health side of things and all of these, all of this stuff being able to be presented to you in a way that, our social workers, again, amazing people. Ours is amazing. And like I said, she does a great job and she gives really good feedback. I had another idea that I was working on and she gave me really good feedback on, which I love. But giving them even more tools that they can really present and help you with. And I know they have a lot, but let's be a little bit more advanced. Let's get a little bit deeper into the toolbox and give them what they need in order to provide that opportunity. So that's my thought process on if I ran for office. Will I do it? I don't know. I would say pay attention. I would say keep your eyes on the ballot. I would say keep your eye on social media. If you're following me on TikTok, I do have a TikTok that I set up. It's called Vallier for WI, so Vallier for Wisconsin. And I will put out some campaign videos out there, kind of running like a social media campaign right now, getting feedback, getting ideas and understanding on the best things that would work for a platform. But overall, the platform would work because of the lived experience, not because of politics. I can make a promise to you saying that my politics, meaning whether I vote red or whether I vote blue, it doesn't matter. My politics would never come into a debate. And the reason I say that is this. I've watched for years political debates, 10 years for the better part of it, political debates of Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, progressives, liberals, whatever you want to call that, whatever category you want to be in, I've watched it. I actually posted a question on Facebook and no responses, which is telling to me that if you're a current politician right now and you cannot share your platform, or you can't share your views on something, or you can't share a solution to something without it being a knock or a dig at the other side of the aisle or people that don't agree with you, then I don't think you have a place in politics. You're there for the reason that politics exists, but you're not there for anybody. And even the people that support you, you're not there for them. You're there for your next election. I don't want to be a politician like that. If I ran for office, my political stance would be, if you ask me a question about, hey, what did this person do? And what do you think about what they did? And you use the word Democrat or Republican, liberal, conservative, you use that in your question, I will not answer the question. Because political mudslinging, although I get it and I understand it, is useless. And it's nothing more than sandbox politics. It doesn't give us anything. We get nothing. We gain nothing out of it. You just show your ass. That's all there is to it. The fact that every single day the only thing you can do is get online, get on your social media, and you can bash the other side. You can bash one person or the other, but never actually show us a solution, never actually give us a plan, never actually give us anything that we can work with. But your entire political career, especially, right, over the last 2 terms of presidents, if you're entitled, and this is both groups of people, okay? This is all groups of people. If your entire political campaign over those past 2 terms of presidents and current term now has only been to bash the other side, or only been to tell the people on the other side of the aisle from you how bad they are and how good you are, but never actually provide a solution, you're useless. Which is why we need someone in there right now that has lived experience, someone that understands that all that bullshit doesn't get us anywhere. All that bullshit gets us nowhere. All that bullshit does is slow down progress, because I wouldn't take the time out of my day to deal with all of that banter. I wouldn't. That's the thing. So if I was standing on the stage and someone asked me, can you believe, or what do you think about what the Democrat XYZ said, or what do you think about what the Republican RY, whatever. If the question comes across as a policy issue, if the question comes across as an idea, if the question comes across as how do you feel about the direction of this law, we can have a conversation. But if the question comes across as how can you bash the other side, how can you tell me how you are better than them, we're not going to do that. If you want my opinions on how we could better serve the people that voted for us, we could better serve the families and the communities, I'm all for answering those questions. I'm all for sitting all day and having a conversation with you. And if I could sit all day and talk about our daughter and talk about our family, talk about our experience, that's what I would do, because that experience has given me the insight to see the system that is broken, and it's also given me the insight to see that for 5 years now, we've been busting ass trying to get something passed in this state, trying to get some kind of legislation, trying to get something done that would be very, very beneficial to research, trying to get something done that would really, really work amazingly for survivors, families, and grieving families within the community. We have some pretty big ideas on the table, and it takes forever. And a lot of that is because people want to look across the aisle and they want to say, but look what they did. Buck, look what they did. And look how bad it's going to be if they do this. Or if they were here, they would do this. I don't care, because children don't understand politics. Children don't understand left and right. Children don't understand DNR. Children don't understand liberal, progressive, conservatives, moderates. They don't understand any of that, and they don't care, and neither do I. My run as a politician, if it ever came to be, would absolutely not be about sides, and I would absolutely never be dragged into a political debate based on the other side of the aisle or the other beliefs outside of mine. Because I think that the best conversations you can have with people are with those that don't agree with you, period. I think the best way that we learn is by talking to people that you don't agree with, because when you see their view, whether you agree with it or not, you can understand them as a person. You can understand why they feel that way. And just having a conversation doesn't mean that you have to change their view. You don't have to go into every conversation trying to change somebody's thought process. You just want them to understand why you feel that way. And if you're passionate about something, run with it. But don't force other people to believe what you believe. You need to be able to have political debates that are positive. And when I say that, I mean that something comes out of it. Not saying, well, the left did this better, the right did this better, the Democrats did this better, the Republicans did this better. I don't give a damn about any of those. I don't. And I've said before that I will work with anybody that is willing to help our cause move forward. But I will also call out anybody that destroys progress, anybody, because I don't stump for anybody. I never have. If I run for office, my political aspirations, my political ambitions would simply be to share my personal experience with life that I have lived through in my 44 years, and especially since 2020 when our daughter was diagnosed with brain cancer. I would share those personal lived experiences into the community and into the system to help create something better for families that are going through it now and families that will be going through it in the future. I want to create something better, something that stands for them, something that represents real life, something that was built for the people that are going through it, not something that was built for a system that doesn't make any sense. And that's where I'm gonna stop with my political debate, or my political talk. I want to cover something else in this episode, and maybe we'll come back to this on another day, or I'll come back to it with another guest. The second thing that I'd actually like to talk about is nonprofits in general. We're going to take a bit of a spin here. I'm going to take a bit of a spin, but nonprofits, when you're getting into this, we'll just refer to it as getting into this game. When you get into this game of nonprofit, you really, I think, expect that your cause is going to bring a lot of support. And it does. Your cause is going to bring a lot of support because nobody wants to see a sick child. But that can also be to the detriment because nobody wants to see a sick child. And when nobody wants to see a sick child, it's very easy to turn the TV off. It's very easy to scroll past a social media post. It's very easy to switch off a podcast. It's very easy to just ignore it because if you ignore it and you're not part of it, then it doesn't exist. And I want to shake that moniker. I want to get rid of that. But it also can sometimes be a very bad mental game for people that are within this space every single day. Because we see it every single day. We see the commercials on TV of sick and emaciated animals. And no matter who you are, your heart breaks. And you want to run to the phone and you want to donate and you want to go adopt animals and you want to get them out of the streets. And you can't believe how anybody would treat animals like this. You can't believe that anybody would want to be a disgusting human being to loving animals that would take away their innocence, their ability to just be a pet to you, that they just want to be there for you and provide for you. And when you see that, like I said, it breaks your heart. It makes you want to go out and do something about it. It makes you want to fix it. It makes you want to help. I don't think that the same can be said about the pediatric cancer community. And I say that because there's a different mindset. I don't know what it is. There's a different mindset when it comes to seeing kids that are sick or hearing about kids that are sick or scrolling on any type of social media and seeing another child that's going through it or another child that is very close to passing, and you can see what these drugs and these treatments have done to them, and you see another family who is that final picture, which a lot of us have, of them holding their child's hand after they've passed. And there's so many of those pictures that are out there, and it continues to happen day in and day out, and more people are seeing this and hearing this, and more people are just turning away. And that, it bothers me, and it makes me wonder, what are we really doing? What are we really fixing? What are we really solving? What problem are we making better? What impact are we having as nonprofits? What impact are we having as families, as mothers, fathers that are coming and doing this? What impact are we really having if it's so hard to get people to really support you? And I'm not talking just about financial donations and things like that. I'm talking about just general outpouring of support, because it is a phenomenon, at least what I've known and what I've seen within this community, is that when your child is first diagnosed and your child is going through these treatments, your child is in the hospital, you're sharing everything about their story, you're sharing their ups, their downs, their smiles, their laughs, their cries, you're sharing it all. And everybody just is so supportive, and they just want to be there for you, and they want to call you and message you and text you, and they want to send money, and they want to send cards, and they want to send you meals. They want to do everything for you. And so you think, okay, you know what? The best thing that we can do is we can start an organization, because we can give back. We can really give back, which is what we did. And it's been really good. I mean, we've been going strong with doing this organization now for almost 6 years, and it's been really good, and it's been a hell of a ride, and we've met a lot of really amazing people. We've met a lot of people within the nonprofit space. We've met a lot of people within the pediatric cancer community. We've met a lot of medical professionals, research companies. It's been really great, and we've seen support kind of come and go. We've seen people come into the picture and then leave the picture, and that picture changed when JC passed. And once she passed, it seemed like the support became a lot different, and it just wasn't there as much as it was when she was here. And I don't know what that's all about. I don't understand the phenomenon. I don't understand a lot of it, but what I do know is that that's the way that it's looked, is that we've kind of lost that support. And I guess I don't understand it, because when we talk about the commercials on TV for the animals and stuff like that, they could show the same commercial. They could show the exact same commercial for the next 100 years. and it's going to have the same impact. You're still going to see emaciated dogs that haven't eaten in months. You're going to see dogs that are just infested with insects and bugs, and they're living in horrible conditions, and they're out in the snow, and they're chained to, whatever, chained to trees, and they're living in cages, or they're in puppy mills, and they're forced to, continue to reproduce. And you're seeing this, and it could be the same commercial. It will have the same impact over and over and over again. And with kids, it just doesn't seem that way. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm out there. And again, this is where I ask for comments, concerns, criticism. Maybe I'm different. Maybe I don't see it the same way, but that's the way that I feel like the support kind of changes. And so it makes me question, when is it too much? When is it too much when you're doing this as a nonprofit? Does it ever become too much? Does it ever get to a point where you want to say, I can't do it anymore? We just can't do it anymore. It's, the support's not there, or the funding's not there, the people aren't there. It's just becoming too difficult when we thought it would pick up steam in some way. Some way we'd be able to kind of roll, and get better and better and better. And, this isn't specific, but seriously though, I wonder, does anybody else out there as a nonprofit, that's been around for a little while, do you feel that? Do you feel like, what impact are we making? What are we truly doing? Is it worth it? Should I continue? Is this something really that's making a difference? What do you do? What do you do? And I don't know what the answer to that question is. I don't know if that's something that only I feel, or if I'm questioning it and I shouldn't be, but it's very difficult, because it's not like a knock on the community. It's not a knock on people that support us and people that have supported us in the past and things like that. It's not a knock on that. I get that this is not a topic that anybody wants to talk about. Pediatric cancer, kids going through this, bald heads, getting sick, losing weight, losing their innocence, losing their ability to be kids, all of that. Nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to be a part of it. This is a community that we never asked to be a part of. This is a community that nobody asked to be a part of. And for those that are a part of this, in supporting us and supporting this community as a whole, but have no physical connection, God bless you, because you've taken a role and you've taken an opportunity to come and be a part of something that most people will just shy away from. And so it's amazing when you have people that decide to do that. So again, God bless you. Thank you for being there for us, and thank you for continuing to support what we do personally, but also support this community in any way that you can, because it really truly does take a village. It takes an army. It's going to take a nation to fix this problem, and we are carrying a lot of weight on our shoulders. Which again, that's where it kind of brings it to my point of, we are carrying a lot of weight, and I think nonprofits and philanthropic efforts carry the weight of change within this country, within this world. We carry the weight of change, especially for our kids and their legacies, and it can become a lot. It can become a lot to carry, a lot to really weigh your shoulders down and feel like you're carrying a boulder every single day, not knowing if anybody's ever going to help you lift it. And so I guess where I'm going is that, I would like to know if anybody else kind of feels that way. I would like to know if anybody else kind of gets that thought. We don't have any plans of ever, stopping what we're doing. We don't have any plans of ever just, giving up and walking away. But it's hard sometimes when you're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and basically, breaking your back trying to make a difference. And a lot of things just get stalled. A lot of things just take forever, and you don't feel like there's any progress. And I hope one day that the skies just open and everything falls into place the way that it should. Our JC's legacy is absolutely at stake, and we will do everything we can to secure it. We will keep pushing. Like I said, we've got several ideas in the fire that we're working on right now that we're not going to stop working on, and we're going to continue to fight for until we get some kind of resolution and some kind of positive move, because everything that we're doing is never meant to be proprietary to Wisconsin. Everything that we do is never meant to be proprietary to one spot. It's meant to be a blueprint that allows other states, other cities, other towns, whatever, to utilize and create their own systems that can be better used to really show this country what we're all about. And that, a group of parents, a group of organizations, a group of people with lived experience are truly going to be your best resource when it comes to seeing positives, and when it comes to seeing actual change. because much like my political stuff in the front, we need people that are going to listen to you and understand. And that's the difference here. Running a nonprofit with my wife, running it together is not easy. It's not an easy task, and I think a lot of people just look at it and say, okay, well, you got a nonprofit status, which means that you can take donations and you don't have to pay taxes on sales tax and all this stuff. Great. There's still a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see on social media. A lot of things that go on that you don't see on the internet and on the website, and you don't see on podcasts, and you don't see all of that. You don't see the behind the scenes that exist. Running a nonprofit is a lot of work. It's not easy. And to try to transfer that over into going into politics and going into something isn't about giving up on one. It's about taking what we've learned, what I've learned from this entire experience from January 30th, 2020, the day that we were told that JC had, or that we had to race out there and then do emergency CT scan. She's got a mass in her brain, to surgeries, to 12-day hospital stay, to coming home before her birthday. All of this, all of that lived experience created what Battlecorn is. And all of that lived experience created this podcast. And all of that lived experience creates the initiatives that we're trying to push forward here in Wisconsin and create those blueprints for the rest of the country. All of that lived experience, combine it all together and put it in a political race, you have an incredible opportunity to be able to listen and speak and represent a group of people, both in the pediatric cancer world, but also in the medical world in general, that are going through something serious and feel like the system has absolutely failed them, and the system to navigate it is an absolute nightmare. I honestly think, to be honest, 100%, that the way that the system is set up and the way that the navigation of it is set up is meant to frustrate you. It's meant to frustrate you into the point of giving up and then just paying the bill or letting it go to collections because you just don't want to deal with it, or you just don't have the mental capacity because of everything you're dealing with to function through that navigation system. And I think that's where we have to fix it. We have to make it user-friendly in many different ways. We need to provide people that can help guide you through the process. That's what I want. So I know we came back to the political side of things. We kind of got back off of that. But what I'm trying to get at is that all the experiences that we've had with this nonprofit and with JC and with this podcast and with Battlecorn, with events that we've hosted, with research we've funded, with things that we have done, we've traveled, the advocacy, all of that lived experience has created kind of the perfect storm for somebody to be in a position to be able to give you representation, which is why I don't want the support for Battlecorn. I don't want the support for other nonprofits. I don't want the support for people that are in this space to ever wane. I want you to understand that the support that we have, or that we had when we started, we still need today. And it's not because of things are more expensive. It's not because, there's more and more people. It's because you need that support just like your family needed that support when you were going through these treatments, and just like your family needs that support after treatments, no matter what the outcome. Nonprofits need that support because in order to have that support to pass on to other families, they have to feel like they can do it. And they don't have to feel appreciated by money. The best payments that we ever get, the best payments that we get are pictures. We get cards in the mail sometimes. I get Instagram messages, Facebook messages when packages arrive, because it has made a difference. It has made an impact. And I think that is why it's so crucial to understand that even small things that some people think are insignificant, like care packages, are so crucial to the fight, so crucial to the journey, because it can make the difference between a good day and a bad day. And when you're going through something like this, you don't know how many of those days, good or bad, that you're going to have. And being able to give somebody a really, really good day and take away and take their mind off of, or just distract from a really bad day, that means the world to us. That, I think, is so important. So, in closing with all of this, I want to pass this along. Support your nonprofits. Find local nonprofits that are battling pediatric cancer, funding, research, financial support, mental support, or find a nonprofit that really hits close to home for you, something that comes close to your family. I would love to believe that I have other people listening to this podcast that are not connected to this community but really want to learn more. And if you're not connected and you've got another cause that's really, really important to you, reach out to those nonprofits. Donate $5, $10, donate your time. Just share their story, like their pages, help them get more exposure, but never take away, don't ever take away from what you're giving to them based on the amount of it. And what I mean is that if you give us $5 today, that $5 is going to be invested in the program. It's going to be invested in care package content. It's invested in the shipping. It's going to be invested in advocating. It's going to be put back in there. Okay? Our nonprofit does not take salaries. We do not take money from this. We do not personally pocket any of this money. It all goes towards the business. It's all used for Battlecorn. We don't ever do that. And I want you to take notice and take solace in that, and understanding that we don't ever benefit from this other than, like I said before, cards, letters, messages. That's our payment. That is our salary. But find that local nonprofit. Find that national nonprofit if you need to. Find the one that makes the most meaningful sense to you and support them. It doesn't have to be financial. It can just be sharing their page, liking them, messaging them, and saying, I love what you do. Thank you for what you do. You don't understand how important those messages truly are. Just take a moment out of your day and do that. It doesn't always have to be money. Okay, time is an incredible thing, an incredible donation, and the most valuable thing that you can give to us and to any other nonprofit out there that is doing this essentially in their free time. Okay, on the other side, on the political side of this, if I ever run for office, and like I said, I don't know. Who knows what tomorrow is going to bring? But what I can tell you is this. If I ran for office, I would support you. I would support your story. I would listen to your story. I would express my personal experience and my personal everything that I've been through, my life and our daughter's life and the community that we've been a part of, and everything that we have experienced in the past 6 years. And I would use that to drive home a system that would completely work for the families that are going through it. Drive home a navigation system that actually makes sense for families in Wisconsin. Because without a system that works for us, we're always going to be on the outside. We're always going to be trying to navigate it on our own without any guidance. And that's not a knock to anybody that is out there working within the medical field, especially social workers, because like I said, you guys are amazing. But if you don't have the tools in order to provide a system that is actually going to work for us, then we're all going to end up on a failing end. So if I run for office, I can promise you I listen. I can promise you I take my personal experience, my lived experience, and I apply that to everything that I do. And that means that I'm going to be able to hear and understand what you're saying, not just hearing it from a campaign talking point. I can also promise that my political conversations and debates, if you will, are never going to be driven by one side or the other. And I will never be dragged into political mudslinging, because I think it gets us nowhere. I think it drags us further down, and I think what it does is it takes your actual point, it takes your mission, it takes your goals, it takes all of that, and it erases them. Because now all you're focused on is that mudslinging point, what he did 5 years ago, what he said 10 years ago, or what he just did, and the only reason that you're asking me that question is because he's of the opposite party of who I am representing at that point. I will not do that, because I don't think that it provides us anything. I really don't. So, to my listeners, if I run for office, I hope I have your support. Who knows? All I'm saying is just keep your eyes on the ballot, keep your eyes on the internet, because that's where everything comes out all the time. To my listeners, thank you for continuing to support what I do, both with my wife and my kids and our family and Battlecorn, but also supporting this podcast, also supporting our events and supporting what we do as a family. We thank you. Without you, none of this exists, and I want to be able to take everything that I've learned and everything that I felt and experienced, and I want to pass it on. I want to be able to be a resource. That is the one thing that I think I am absolutely the most proud of when it comes to when it comes to this world, this organization, when it comes to this life, this past 6 years, is our ability to be a resource. We have met some incredible people. We have met incredible organizations, and I am able to then pass along information. If I don't know the answer, I know who does. And that's an incredible feeling when you're not having to search through a million different Rolodex files to figure out, I just dated myself, Rolodex files to figure out where to get that information. You have a centralized resource, and I love that. So again, thank you guys all so much for the continued support. I love all of you. We'll be back again next week, and I will be working on more guests coming up for the next season. So thank you for your support, and we'll see you all in the next one.